to recap, we have your final expenses taken care of, your income protected, your mortgage protected, your child's education assured as well, and then there's the rest of your script, right? So we're gonna fatten that up a little bit, okay, and include painting pictures in that, okay? So when you're going through this with your client, first thing I do is I move this down. Because the first thing your client's gonna do is see the green number on the bottom and immediately close down on what you're there for, okay? Or not, but you don't wanna give them the opportunity to. So you use your little pen or whatever. I wish I had a big stick, but I don't. So John, we have your final expenses at $30,000, which is the recommended amount of coverage as the previous video had stated and we spoke about.
It's all right.
You don't have anything in place, 30,000 is what you need, 30,000 is what the computer's giving you, right? And that's using the freedom of choice certificate to pay for the funeral. So when you're at the funeral home and he hands out his hand asking for cash, check, or credit card, you just put the freedom of choice. Remember how we talked about that?
Yes.
Okay, and that makes sense, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then Jane, we have the same thing for you, the 30,000, like we just discussed. We also have your income protected. Now remember before we were saying you need 5 years of your income protected. So God forbid, John was to not make it home from work one day, right? All those bills are still gonna come in, except now with those bills, you're gonna get a check in the mail to pay them. Remember how we talked about that?
Uh-huh.
So John's 5 years of his income is $240,000. Since you guys don't have anything in place right now, $240,000 is what you need, and that's what the computer is gonna provide you with. Jane, same thing. 5 years of your income is $180,000. You have nothing in place, that's what you need, that's what the computer is gonna provide you with, okay? Any questions at this point? No. And so far, you can see why everybody's excited about these, right? We're gonna pay for your funeral and we're gonna help you pay your bills. Now, on top of that, there's also your mortgage protection that we discussed, right? So you currently have a mortgage for $145,000. You didn't take out the mortgage insurance from the bank at the time. $145 is what you need. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pay off the mortgage for you. On top of your income being protected to pay the rest of your bills, and on top of paying for your funeral for you, okay? We're also gonna give you $100,000 worth of coverage. God forbid anything were to happen to you, Jimmy can still go to college or school, whatever he's using for school, or give him $100,000 towards it. At least it's a jump start if you're not there to help him pay for it. Does all that make sense up to this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? And at this point, you guys would say that you need this coverage, correct?
Yes.
And you understand how it all works?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Now, here comes some of the better parts. Not only are we going to cover you for all that, we're also giving you guaranteed insurability for both you and John and Jane. Now that means as you age, you're going to be able to add more coverage without us ever asking medical questions, $25,000 at a time. And those ages are 25, 28, 31, 34, 37, and 40. You'll get a letter from the company saying if you'd like to increase your insurance by $25,000, this is how much it's going to change your premium, send the letter back. We will never ask you medical questions. So if you take an example where someone, now I'm using worst case scenario, is on their deathbed or just found out that they have stage 2 or 3 cancer, and then they realize, oh crap, I need to increase my life insurance, they generally wouldn't be able to. But because this is in place, you will have that opportunity, okay? So that's for both of you guys. Now the plan also comes with a strike waiver. So if the union went on strike, we're gonna take over paying your premiums for you for a portion of that time. If you were to get laid off from your job in a mass layoff, 10 people or more, we will take over paying your premium, your portion of the premium for up to a certain amount of time, okay? It also comes with waiver of premium. Now, most people don't realize how important this step is. Waiver of premium is gonna take over paying your policy for you if you ever went on permanent disability. So John, you work in construction. If you were to hurt your back and go out of work permanently, we're gonna take over paying your portion of the policy for you. For as long as you're out of work, even if that's the rest of your life, you'll never have to make another payment on your portion of the policy again. Okay, you can see how that's super important to our union members, right? We're all blue collar workers. All right, now the other part that we generally don't like to think about, but it's important to know that it's here, is there's also a $10,000 rider on here for Jimmy. God forbid anything happened to him, he's covered. But more importantly, later on, between the ages of 18 and 21, he'll be able to convert that policy into his own policy for up to $50,000 without us ever asking any questions. Okay, any questions about anything that I just went over?
For the waiver premium, you're gonna mention the 6 months, right? That they have to be disabled for 6 months and then...
Permanent disability.
After the 6 months, that's when they get...
Permanent disability. There's temporary disability and there's permanent disability.
What if they get permanently disabled, like just 3 months in?
You can't get permanently disabled within 3 months in. The state requires you to be disabled for a minimum of 6 months before you can get permanent disability.
So that's what it means.
Okay.
The child rider I thought from class was 21,
It's
not 18
technical.
to 21.
What, when they can convert it?
Yeah.
They can convert it between 18 and 21.
Okay.
I'm almost certain. But we can use this as an example. If you ever have a question about what you're talking about in a house, click on it. So you're right, when they reach 21.
Just asking the dumb question, because you said 18, I'm like, I remember learning 21.
Yeah, I thought it was 18 to 21, but it's 21. I know the rider expires at 21.
Yeah.
But use that, let that be an example. Anytime you ever have a question on any of these riders, click on them. If they ask you exactly what it is and you're not sure, don't give them false information. Just click on it and read it to them. Okay? So at this point, we've got everything protected. Now, John and Mary, do you have any questions about any of your coverage? No? You understand that you guys need this coverage? It's important to you and your family? Yes?
Yeah.
And you understood how it works? You didn't have any other questions? No? All right, great. So that means I only have one last question for you guys. Okay, you understand how important it is? You understand how your program works? Sure.
As usual. The mortgage protection part of it.
Uh-huh.
I die, okay?
Yep.
Now, I would immediately get a check from you to pay that mortgage, or does it?
When the claim pays out, you'll get the extra $145,000 to pay off your mortgage.
And that would come in a lump sum.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, John, Mary, I have one last question for you. As we spoke about earlier, the current cost of a funeral today is $30,000, but we also decided that we were going to make this plan affordable for you guys. So the company gives you two options. Option A is $30,000 and everything else that we explained it. Option B just reduces the amount of final expense coverage to $20,000. Nothing else changes in the plan. Option A is this number right here. I'm not sure why you guys can't see it. Option B is this number right here. Which one are you two going to start with today? All right, I'm going to kind of pause the presentation portion of it there. It's important at this point, before you go here, that you've sold them on all that.
Right.
If they're not sold on the fact that they need the coverage, if their questions haven't been answered, I don't care if you tell them that whole plan's $10, they're not going to take it because they don't understand it or they don't feel like they need it. So before you go into money, make sure during that recap, you understand you need it, you understand how it works, you have any questions. And you can embellish a little bit, get more buy-in from them along the way, like I just showed you guys. All right, so then they say this. Now, Nelson, which option are you guys going to start with today? Option A or option B?
It's a little bit too much for me. Both options.
Both options are a little bit too much for you.
Yeah.
But you do understand that you need the coverage.
That is true. I do
Okay.
see that I need it. But
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How much do you and your wife pay for your family cell phone bill right now?
Jesus, you don't want to know about mine. But anyway, about $200 a month.
About $200 a month. And that's for the whole family?
Yeah, that's for everybody.
Okay, this is for the whole family too. But when you die, is your cell phone gonna help you pay for your funeral?
No.
But your cell phone bill is very important to you, right? Because it helps you communicate.
Yes.
This is more important than that, and this is only a little bit more per month.
Okay.
These are things that need to be a priority. Okay? So which option are you gonna go with today? Option A or option B?
Well, if you put it in that way, I would definitely take option A.
Okay. Now, in an example where that didn't work, and they still say, listen, I understand how important it is, but things are a little tight. We just can't afford that.
Okay.
But when you get the objection, and then here's where I kind of messed up. When you get that objection, I could, you know what, Nelson, I completely understand the way you feel. Okay, a lot of my clients have felt the same exact way, that, you know, it was a little bit too much. But here's what we found, and then use my rebuttal, like I just did with the cell phone. Okay, or if you know it's a single person and they don't have a nice phone or whatever, find something else that they pay for. They got their nails done, they got their hair done, they got, you know, brand new pair of Jordans on the ground, whatever. Find something that they spend their money on.
With the single person, I default back to the frivolous spending when I'm in the needs analysis.
Correct.
I always talk about the frivolous spending and the amount that we
Yeah.
spend.
Once you know
So
that
then you
this is
default
what
back
they
to
spend,
that. If you remember, we talked about, you know, frivolous spending.
Of course.
You spend $80
That's during
a
your
month
needs
on this.
analysis.
This is half that amount.
Mm-hmm. So it's just another way to rebut that. Okay, but I didn't go into that part here, so that's why I didn't use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
You're
yes.
just pretending that you're just doing it right now.
What?
You're just pretending that as if you were just finding out right now.
No, I didn't use that rebuttal. That's one
You
of the
didn't.
different rebuttals that you can use when you've gone through the needs analysis and
Yeah,
you've
because
asked them
usually
what their
you already
spending is.
know by that point.
Of course you do. I'm saying I didn't use that rebuttal. I used a different one.
Okay.
Okay. So you've gone through it. They said they couldn't afford it. You gave them the feel, felt, found. You gave them the rebuttal. They still say they can't afford it, right? But you have to at least try twice before you start down closing,
Right.
because you may be able to sway somebody to option B before you start lowering the price. As soon as you start lowering the price, you're diminishing the importance of what you just sold them. Okay. Now at this point, they're already sold. So before I start down closing, I'm going to say, so Nelson, my job today is to make sure that I find something that's comfortable for you and your family. And I'm going to do my best to make sure you're covered in every single one of these ways. So if we find something that's affordable for you guys, we're going to make sure you're protected today. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now you sold them. They're buying from you. You just have to find out how much.
Okay.
All right? Don't spend 15 minutes down closing if they're not sold yet. All right? So what's the first step that we're going to do? Anybody? What's the first step we're going to do in the down close?
Lower the final
Final
expense.
expense.
Right. So you're going to click non-inflation.
Right.
So now it's going to show them 20,000 and 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
So Nelson,
Yes.
Fatima, what we did was we took the amount of your final expense coverage from 20,000, from 30 and 20. Now we're showing you 20 and 15,000. So the $15,000 option is now the 286. Does that make more sense for you and your family to start today?
A little too high.
Still a little bit too much? Okay, no problem. So then the next thing that I can do, we discussed having 5 years of your income protected. Right now, it's important to keep your income protected, but what we can do is we can change it from 5 years down to 3. Once you do that, make sure you hit recalculate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to kind of go back through what we changed, we have your final expenses covered for $15,000, and now we have 3 years of your income protected instead of 5. But we haven't changed anything else in the plan. Everything else remains exactly the way that we discussed it. And now we're down to $229, so it's about $100 less than where we started. I'm sure that's a lot better for you and your family.
Just a little.
We're still a little bit
There's a
not
lot of
there.
other things we're trying to pay
Yeah.
off at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I get it. A lot of people have been in the same situation. We're starting to cut down a little bit more than we'd like to, because it's important that you guys have this coverage in place and you understand that. So the next step for me then would be to cover your income for 1 year.
It has to be that.
Now there's 2 different things you can do here. You can change their income to 1 year, or you can reduce their final expenses to 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I do in this example is I run them both without saying anything first, okay? So you can see reducing their income to 1 year goes to 172.
Right.
And when we went from inflation to non-inflation, that price really isn't a big deal. So reducing this down to 10,000 is really not going to make that big of a difference,
No.
but it's not going to help them pay for a funeral today. Okay, it reduced it by $8. Now you took away how important the funeral protection was, and you saved them $8. It's not worth it.
No.
Now it depends on the age of the people that you're sitting with.
Of course.
Okay, but in this example, you didn't help them at all. You just took away from how important it was. All right, so in this example, what I would then do is knock that down to 1 year of income protection. All right, Nelson, Fatima, here's what we're gonna do for you guys. We got your final expenses covered for $15,000, which is the cost of a funeral today. We're giving you 1 year of your income protected. We're still paying off the mortgage. We're still gonna give you money to send your child to school. All of the riders and benefits are still in place, including the $10,000 for your son. So that's $172.65. What I need from you at this point is your driver's license and blah, 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 blah. Notice I didn't wait for them to say okay. All right, we reduced it by half.
Right.
If you can't close this, you're not going to close them. Without making other significant changes to the policy. Okay? Once you take that tack, they'll just kind of follow with you and go, okay, no problem. Or what you can do at this point, leave the screen by clicking the submit button, go into the application and ask them for the social security number and start that way. Okay? But what I do want to do is show you guys some other options that are available to you if you ever needed to use them. Now notice you've got the mortgage protection just under the primary. So if John dies, the house gets paid off, but
Mary dies.
not Mary,
No.
right? And they both make almost the same amount of money. So down here, you want to go into the box where it says optional coverage, and you can add Mary's mortgage and click add. Okay? Now that's going to boost up their amount, but what you do is you cut the difference. Right? Pay off their half of the mortgage. So let's just make it 90,000, whatever. I know that's way more than it needs to be, but all right, we'll do 80. 80 and 80 will be 160, so it'll be okay. Okay, so now they're both covered. Okay. So at least you can pay off their half. They can pay off half the mortgage and refinance the rest if they need to. All right, and the price didn't really change much. It was 162 before,
No, 172.
172.
So it's only back.
Actually went down.
So it actually
Well, it went down
a little bit.
for a little bit,
Right.
but still.
All right, and they're both covered. Now, you've got, if you hit this premium details button, and you don't ever want to show the client this, but this is for your information. You've got a 20-year term for Jimmy, right? But that's only if John dies. What if Mary dies? Now, we know that, or you will know once you do this a little while, that accidental is $16 per 200,000. So what I do, and you can make up your mind on what you'd like to do with this situation, I'll add $200,000 to both. And here's why. And then what I do is I'll take off child's education and recalculate.
Most homes, it spits out the college education.
We just saved them $6, right? We made sure that if either parent dies, not only will they have the money, the $100,000 for college, we also supplemented an additional $100,000 back into the income replacement that we took away before. Okay, so you're giving them a better plan that covers them both for every single one of those options. Okay, the only difference is it's accidental. Now, if you're sitting with a 20-year-old couple, 30-year-old couple, chances are in the next 20 years, and this is what I'd say to them, if you're going to die in the next 20 years, it's probably going to be in an accident. Okay, and right now we're trying to save as much money as possible but give you the best plan we possibly can. So we're going to use accidental instead of term to cover Jimmy's college education, so you can both be covered and have that extra $100,000 go back into your income protection, since we had to take away from that. And now we're down at 162.08. Okay, so now go get me your checkbook, your driver's license. Always go back to closing. All right. Now, if you're sitting with a family and they take option A, right? One of the things you can then offer them, you say, great choice, but one thing I do want to let you know, you have one other option that I didn't get to discuss with you yet. Right now, we have a child rider for Jimmy for $10,000. Jimmy's their only son. Cost them $6.25. You go down here, final expense child 1, add it. $25,000 head start for Jimmy is only $10.42. Right, so it's $4 more, but now that child has $25,000 of insurance today, and the ability to add $150,000 more coverage throughout their lifetime, versus just that $10,000 coverage that can convert to $50 later. So I say to them, so for $4 more, we can make sure that Jimmy has his own plan, which he can take over later in life. And nobody can ever take it away from him, and that price is never going to change. So right now, John, $15,000 of final expense for you is $19.80. Jimmy will never pay more than that $10.42 for his $25,000. Now, mind you, when you go to the next screen, you're gonna have to add the GIO. But that's gonna be upsell. It's
$1.67. $1.67.
It's not much.
That's nothing.
And if Jimmy's over 5, then you can also add accidental for $209. But that's a whole nother thing. All right, so in my opinion, this is a better plan for the whole family. And you're at $166.25. You saved them money. Now you look like a hero. You gave them some options they didn't know that they would have had. But you don't want to take away from what the computer showed them. Okay? Because you're trying to tell them that the computer showed them everything they need. But you're going to help them out because you understand their financial situation, so there are some things we can do to tweak it. Okay? Because what they need to know is that you're there to help them no matter what. Your job at the end of the day is to help them get in the best plan that they can possibly get in, but we're going to keep it affordable. I'm not going to come in here and tell you to spend $350 if you can't do it, because then you're going to pay for 4 or 5 months, cancel it, and I didn't help you guys at all. I'd rather you take the smaller plan today and always add to it later. Okay? And then that's going to help your relationship with them as well. Now, once you tell them about the Head Start, notice that there's a play button here. That'll play the video, because the video didn't automatically play. Any questions about everything we just went over? How to change, how to add? Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we went over the proper way to review. We went over the proper way to close. We went over some objections. Phil fell found, how to get past the can't afford it. Okay. Now, a lot of times you'll also get, especially in the beginning of your career, you're going to get, I need to think about it. Okay. So when somebody says, you know what, we really need to sit down and discuss this. Okay. The one, there's so many different things you can do. There's a million different rebuttals out there. The one I like to use is similar to Acts 5 question close. I use a 3 question close. Okay. So John and Mary, or Nelson Fatima, I completely understand how you feel. A lot of families I've sat with and signed up for these plans felt the same way. They needed to think about it. Okay, but as we mentioned earlier, you guys have thought about life insurance a couple times in the past, but you never actually got it. So today's not going to be any different. I'm going to leave, and you're not going to think about this again. Okay? But generally, there's 3 reasons people need to think about life insurance. 1, they want to make sure it's a good fit for their family. Do you understand? They understand that they need it. And you guys said you do need this coverage, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other question is, do you understand how your policy actually works? How the freedom of choice is going to be used to pay for your funeral? How the check is still going to come in the mail to pay off the bills? How we're going to pay your mortgage? You guys understand how your plan actually works, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then that leaves the third question, and the only other thing that's left on the table is the money. So if you guys need to think about the money, chances are that means option A or B is still too much. And then you can go into the Dow closing like we just did.
Okay.
Okay? But using that that rebuttal for we need to think about it will at least increase you by 1 or 2 that you wouldn't have had before. There's no silver bullet in any house for any objection. All we can do is find the ones that work the best for us.
Right.
Okay? Now, once we go through everything,
I do have a question.
sure.
So when you add the head start on this screen, that head start doesn't automatically have a GIO?
No.
You have to add the GIO in the next screen. But like we said, it's $1.67. Right, so let's go into the next screen. As long as I hit the right button. Now I'm not going to go through the whole application to get to the post-close. I'm going to just go through it off of memory with you guys.
Okay.
But for those of you that are new, as you finish the application and you get your signatures and blah, 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 there's a whole box that comes up with a blurb about everything that's going to happen over the next couple weeks. I like to do it as I go. I like to try to keep as efficient as I can while I'm in the home, right? So as you're filling this information out, when I ask them for their phone number, I say, what's the best contact phone number for you? Because the company's going to be giving you a call next week to verify some of the information that we discussed today, your height, your weight, if I was polite, courteous, if I explained everything properly to you. They may also ask you if you type your name in the computer, because I'm going to have you do that at the end. And since you guys are non-smokers, I do have to collect an oral specimen, so they're going to ask you if I did that, okay? What's the best phone number to reach you on? Once they give me the phone number, then I just skip over to page 2 real quick and say, what's the best time for them to reach you? Morning, afternoon, or evening. Now that's done, okay? So once you get through birthplace, height, weight, social security number, driver's license number, or even driver's license at this point may stay blank. Proposed insured A, ask them what they do for a living, get their phone number, go through that. Now at this point, this is where I say to them, now at this point what I need from you guys is your driver's license, your doctor's information, any prescription medications that you take, and your checking information, okay? So now I'm already here. So while they're getting that, start filling out the address, start filling in the beneficiaries. You already have them. You know they're gonna be each other's. You already went through the beneficiary information on the other page. So when they come back, all you should have to fill in is their driver's license and the banking on page 1. And then you go right into the medical questions. Now at this point, when they give you the banking, have your what comes next form out so you can write it down as you go. Do their conditional receipt once you finish what their premium is. You do everything to keep yourself efficient in the house.
Okay.
Okay, because, and this is gonna kind of lend into what I'm doing next as your post-close, but people's time is important to them. Your time is important to you. You need to look like their time is important to them. So once you've closed them, now your job is to get this done as quickly as possible to save them as much time as possible. So if they see you being efficient in the house, they know that you're a professional and they're gonna respect you a little bit more, okay?
So what was the sheet that you talked about?
There's 2 forms that we have to fill out during a sale. A what comes next form and a conditional receipt.
We did
I
that.
don't have those, so.
They're in every folder.
They're in the
In the
folder.
folder.
They're in the folder.
Mhm.
I did that last night. You didn't see that. But yeah.
Okay. Now there's 2 things that you can do here. One, before you start asking these questions, have them start doing the swab.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I do is I unfold everything, take everything out, administer the swab to, let's say, the husband, and say, okay, I need you to fill this out. Have him fill out his information, name, birth date, address, phone number, okay? By the time he's done with that, it's been about 2 minutes. Now you know it's time to take the swab out. And then once you package his stuff up, then do the wife. In the beginning of your career, do not do both at the same time because you will cross-contaminate the things, and then one's going to come back a smoker and the other one's not. It's a mess.
And if you need to ask something, both of them have something in their mouth.
Well, it's okay. You want them to talk. I actually have them read me the 80 number
But a swab
sometimes while the swab is in because it generates more saliva.
Yeah, yeah.
So while they're doing that, you can be asking these questions. Now you're doing two things at the same time.
Okay.
Okay? Get through all the questions. Now, a couple things on the questions. Question number 20. Has proposed insured ever had their driver's license suspended or revoked because of a moving violation? Or been arrested? Okay, it's not the same question. It's actually two questions. Have they ever had their driver's license suspended or revoked? Have they ever been arrested? Okay. Some people just blindly put that all together, and then on the Wednesday bulletin you get something that says, need information as to why they lost their license 3 years ago. Question 24B. Paralysis, or has proposed insured ever had or been treated for any of the following conditions? Paralysis, epilepsy, mental diseases or disorders, or any other nervous system or brain disorder. Now, most people don't realize that anxiety or depression are a mental disease. So I ask a question 24C. Anxiety or depression? It's important. Because if you get all the way through this, you get to the next part asking for meds, then you get to the meds, and they're like, oh, I take Xanax, and you're like, well, what the hell's that for? Then you gotta go back in here. So it's important to ask all these questions the right way.
But that also includes ADHD or ADD, or
ADHD,
autism.
autism, all of that
all
falls
that
underneath
falls onto mental illness.
diseases.
Yeah. Depression.
Now,
all that.
26. Have they ever been advised to take tests and not done so? Or not received the results? Or received treatment? Okay. So have you ever been diagnosed? Have you ever received treatment? Or have you been tested and not yet received the answer for cancers, tumors, or unexplained masses? Okay. Most people understand, if you had a lump, then that's a yes. If a woman ever had a hysterectomy or fibroids, that's a yes. They're unexplained masses. Those are things that you need to think about, okay, or know about. Question 28B. Had any medical treatment? Do you currently or in the last 5 years have you taken any prescription medication? Have you received any treatment from a doctor? Now, a lot of people don't think about silly things. Oh yeah, well, I had something removed, or this or that, or I broke this. Anything like that counts. 28C, been hospitalized. Personally, the only thing I don't include on that is childbirth.
Unlike somebody I know.
I've always included it.
Yeah, I know.
Question 31. Within the last 12 months, has any proposed insured had a weight loss of 10 pounds or more, lymph node enlargement or inflation, blah, 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 blah. There's a much easier way to ask that question. In the last 12 months, have you lost 10 pounds or more due to infection or constant diarrhea? Just makes it a little bit easier of a flow. Basically, they just want to make sure there's no major medical underlying problems that they haven't seen yet. Do you smoke cigarettes, tobacco? What I do when I ask this question, and I do this in the needs analysis as well, it is hot in here, right? It's not just me. Glad. I see you going, okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Do you smoke anything? Right? I don't say do you smoke tobacco. I say do you smoke anything? Okay, because a lot of people may occasionally smoke marijuana, and then they're gonna say, no, I don't smoke, but yet they use a blunt, and it's gonna come back as a tobacco wrapper, and then they're gonna be a smoker. So always ask, do you smoke anything at all? And then here you can use the marijuana question as well. Now this is a big one that kills me every time, and it just happened to me again the other day with somebody. Name, address, and phone number of your doctor. Now this seems pretty cut and dry, right? What does that mean? It means they need the name and the address and the phone number of the doctor.
What happened?
They leave the address out. Happens all the time.
No, I.
Yeah,
First
no,
couple
whatever.
times the trainee's in the field, they leave out the address.
You just have to Google.
Name, address, and phone number. Mr. Google is your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
This box is where you are currently sitting. I don't care if they live in Hawaii, if they're visiting you in New Jersey, in Edison, you write Edison.
Okay.
All right, and then this is all, make sure you answer these questions here and here. I know that doesn't have to do with closing, but I did want to just touch on that. Because as quickly as we just went through that application,
Mhm.
which took us what, 10
Right.
minutes? That's how long it should take you to do the application in the house. Okay, there's no reason it should take you 45 minutes. Just run through everything as you go.
Well,
Now, if
there
you
are.
have questionnaires that pop up,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
you're gonna find them down here, and that's gonna take some extra time. You need to get dates and doctors and blah, 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 blah. Okay, questionnaires are gonna make it go longer. The next thing after this, after you get your signatures, is all post-closing,
Mhm.
okay? So during your post-close, you're gonna go over the chart of cash value. What I like to do is tell them, when your policies come in the mail, give me a call. I'm gonna come out and go over that with you. Now with that said, I need you to take out your phone, just like when you're asking for referrals. Take out your phone for me. Okay, now put my name and number in your phone. It's important that this is in there for two reasons. One, if you need me, if anything happens, if something happens to John at 2 o'clock in the morning, or you have a question or anything, you get a letter from the company, I don't care what it is, you need my number so you can call me, okay? More importantly than that is that the company is gonna need your medical records. They may need some things to contact you. So it's important that you have my number, because if I need to call you, you need to know it's me. And then have them program their number in your phone. That gives them more of a, you're my guy, right? Now, some folks do also then program their clients' numbers in their phone, so that you know it's them when they call you, okay? It's also
Do you do that?
important, what's up?
Do you do that?
Do I do that? No, I don't do that. I should, but I don't, because I have way too many numbers in my phone already. But I also know how to look it up really quickly and have access to how to look up phone numbers and clients and things like that.
And see, I'm the opposite. I save every person I sell to. I mark them AIL, CUST for
Yeah,
customer,
man.
the date, and then I put like details, like if they have kids or what their spouse's name is.
I'm even
And
worse
I
than
save
that.
their address in the phone, so then I have all their info. So if they do call, and I've had a few people call, I know who it is, I can pick up.
You can pick up, you can do service work easier.
Yeah, it's much better.
Okay, there's a lot of reasons why you should do it.
Me, not even just the ones that I sell to, everyone.
You should save it somewhere, because once you resolve it out of impact,
It's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah. And it will remind you if you have a duplicate.
What?
If you save those guys that even you didn't sell to, at least when you get more leads, you'll know if you got that lead already.
Okay,
Okay, that works.
You can forget it.
sure. Now during your post-close, once you're doing that, now what I look at post-close is, you've already built a relationship. They trusted you, they've bought from you, but now you need to solidify that relationship, okay? So part of the things you're gonna do in post-close is you're gonna go over their mandatory off letter, their conditional receipt,
Uh-huh.
okay? Explain to them that this says that they're covered as of today for up to $50,000. Once their policies come in the mail, they've been approved for the entire policy. If anything were to happen to them between now and then, they'll get that $50,000, and once the company approves their policy, they'll get the rest. Okay, it's important that they understand what that means. They're covered the minute you walk out that door, which is why it's very important to upload your business as soon as you can. Because if you tell them they're covered and you walk out the door and that app sits in your computer for 3 days, you don't back it up and you lose the app, you just became the insurance company for when they die. Okay, very important to upload your business as soon as it happens. So you go over the conditional receipt, you let them know that the first payment's gonna come out in the next 24 to 48 hours, and then you can explain the difference between when it's gonna come out versus when their next payment and every payment thereafter is going to be, okay? Do not get confused with, I wrote the 24th on the app, but it's the 16th, okay? That means their future dates are gonna come out on the 24th, but that first payment is still gonna come out in the next 24 to 48 hours. They need to know the difference.
Uh-huh.
Because otherwise it causes cancellations, problems, overdrafts. You find yourself paying people $35 because you overdrafted their account. You also need to let them know that during the underwriting process, they can get approved, they can get denied, they can get rated, okay? Approval, denial is pretty cut and dry, green and red lights. Rating means that for whatever reason the company found in your medical history that you are at a higher risk. If that is the case and they change your premium, which they will, I will let you know how much they change your premium. If it's more than $10, I have to come out, sit down with you, explain why, and have you sign to say that it's okay. I don't say to accept a yes or no. I say to sign to say that it's okay. Okay? It's important that they know that. They need to know that there's a really good opportunity for them to get a rating, so that when that rating comes in, they don't go, well, you didn't tell me that the price was going to change. I don't want it at all. Okay? It's important that you let people know this stuff. Transparency is the key to good business. If you hide things from people on purpose, it will bite you in the ass one day. I promise. After that, basically for me, I just hammer the hell out of it before I leave the house. You need me for anything? Call me. You get a letter from the company about something and you don't know what it is? Call me. If somebody else from the company calls you, call me. You get a letter from another insurance company about something and you're not sure what it is? I'm your insurance guy. I will come out and answer all of your questions about anything. Just call me. That gives them that solace that you're their person, okay? They will call you. How many times now the managers called the POS and they're like, I already have an agent, I'm gonna call them instead.
Right.
Now, as the person calling the POS, it's annoying, but as that agent, you're like, yes, I'm gonna go there now and sell them more insurance. I'm their guy, you know what I mean? Or I'm their girl, or whatever. So that's kind of all I got for closing, down closing, and post closing. Any questions about anything that I went through? We got a couple minutes for questions.
Don't forget about the 5-star review on Google.
Why don't you go over that?
So last and final thing I do is asking for that 5-star review. So I always tell them, obviously you know how important social media and everything online is nowadays. We're making sure that all of our new customers and also our current policy holders, if that's who you're sitting with, are giving us a review. We want to know how, our service is. So I'm going to send you a link. I'm going to text it to you. Pretend I sent it to you, Nelson. You got it? Okay, there. Let's go through this together. So click on the link. You go in. First thing I do, I check on the 5-star, and then I type my name in. And then I tell them you can write anything you like. I hope I did, well on my service with you today. Let them write. Let them click submit. Go on your phone. Double check to make sure that the review actually went through, because you don't want to leave the house and not have that 5-star
So
review
you're
on Google.
checking the 5-star, and you're not giving them the option to decide on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. Now, if you feel too guilty about that, then don't do it.
Yeah, but I haven't had any issue with checking on the 5-star and then type my name in, and then they can write whatever they would like about it. But again, it solidifies that relationship. It makes them feel good about what they just spent their money on.
And don't forget to ask for referrals at the end.
Okay.
Yes.
Get your after-sale referrals. After-sale referrals are the best referrals you're going to collect. Child safe referrals are the next best. Okay? You get done with that sale, and then you just...
I'm already 5-star. What happened was, remember that last one I posted? I don't know what happened to that link. That review just disappeared.
You always want to double check it before you leave the house.
No, it's not. It's not that I didn't double check it. The link that was given to me.
The links are on your GigAct mobile.
Yeah, but I was messaged a link. I thought that was the one I was gonna use.
The only comment I want to add is back to where you said about another agent giving them a call. I tell my friends and family, and then even a lot of the people I sit with, I am going to touch base with you in about a year to check in, see how things are going, because your policy goes out for review somewhere between 6 and 12 months. So all my initial policies I wrote back in February and March, I'm getting calls now and messages from those clients saying, hey, are you still with the company? Or why is this person reaching out to me? You're my agent. And I'm telling them, please tell them very respectfully that the team is your agent. You're going to work with me for all your needs in the future.
And then as the agent, make sure you do their POS.
Yes.
Okay. One of the reasons that, in my opinion, and you can stop recording because this isn't part of the training.